Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Center for Practical Spirituality, where we get you started for the whole entire week. What can I say? It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal day. Happy Father's Day to all of those dads and to the ladies who are father to their children. You know, I have quite a few friends that have ended up being dad to some of their children who are now grown and just have become an absolute delight as fathers themselves. So, you know, kudos to all of you. Thank you so very much for being wonderful fathers, and for all of those uncles and grandpas and just, you know, so many different people that have stepped up and been that example for so many of us. We just greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate you. And so before we get started, or continue, let's say, I wanted just to say, you know, happy Father's Day to one and all. And at this moment, what I'd like for us to do is to actually say our statement of being. Let us say together, God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And so it is. And so it is. So today we're going to go ahead and talk in reference to love unites us with the divine. You know, whenever we think of the divine, we many times think of, or source. You know, many times we think of those that are kind of like way out there, you know, or, you know, up in the sky, or just kind of other different things that, you know, come to mind. And so my invitation is for us to remember that God is omnipresent, omnipotent, and all-knowing, and just is always present with us. And so as we understand this greatness, this wonderful divine, or this divinity, we also need to understand that it is not out of us. It's not out there. It is always within us, through us, as us. And so here is the purpose in life. This is an invitation to kind of see, you know, how source, how infinite intelligence, how energy, okay, has given us the power to choose what we're wanting to do, but also our life's purpose. You know, what is that life's purpose? So let's listen to what Nona L. Brooks says here. Hitch your wagon to a star is a good injunction, and wonderful is the thought that the law has been proved many times over. Try as you shall succeed. But however great the satisfaction of outer attainment, the blessedness of our inner consciousness of God's presence is far greater. Oh, the wonder of being, of living, of doing in this illumination. See, when you are tapped into something greater than yourself, that's when you are actually God in expression. God in expression is not just from a masculine perspective, but also from a feminine perspective. Today, on a Father's Day celebration, we are remembering, celebrating, and encouraging one and all to embrace the masculine spirit. What is masculine spirit if it isn't divine order? If it's not logic, if it's not, you know, being in the in a moment of just having that order and safety as well. So whenever we're thinking, you know, it's kind of like whenever we think of a masculine trait, that source, that infinite intelligence has given to us, we're thinking of that safety and that security. And so love takes off the mask we fear we cannot live without, and know we cannot live within. James Baldwin. As long as we realize that our heart is a living center through which the love of God flows to bless eternally, not only our lives, our own lives, but the lives of all whom we connect. As long as we realize this, our heart cannot be troubled. This morning, whenever I was actually preaching and teaching and talking with those that I was with this morning, one of the things that came out in conversation is that one young lady, she said, well, I never met my father. And I said, okay. I said, but who did you have as a father figure? She says, she goes, my stepdad. And he did a wonderful job. He loved me, he cared for me, and I said, and who else? And she said, my uncles, And if I'm not mistaken, another person said, my older brother was a really good father figure. And so then, one of the things that we are to really reflect on is love unites us with the divine. And so the divine is both masculine and feminine. That's why women who have to step up to the plate and be that father figure for their sons and for their daughters, because the father, kind of like took off. One of the things that I went ahead and I reminded those that were in attendance in church service today was, I said, we are thankful for the father, that donated and gave of himself so that we could be here. That father, who maybe, ended up leaving, whenever we were real young, or ended up abandoning us, or really wasn't an absolutely fantastic example because they were drinking, they were drugging, they were whatever the case may have been. And so at that point, we have to be thankful for that person, because what they did was they gave us as human beings, as their child, an opportunity to come to this world. What is that opportunity bestowing upon us? What are we doing? Because many times we are not able to spend time with our biological fathers for whatever reason. And so, then you feel resentment, you feel anger, and you feel all of these things. So our invitation today is be thankful for the donor. Okay, let me say it out loud so that everybody in the back can hear me. Be thankful for the donor. Because many times what that person was and only is the donor. Because other people come into your life and they are the real father. It takes a village. And so many times, you have to align yourself and understand that the people that actually, came together and then created you in many senses, we are to be thankful for them, for the good, the bad, and the ugly. You, my brothers and sisters, are the ones that are going to choose how you're going to respond to that person. And the invitation that infinite intelligence gives each and every one of us, regardless of the good, the bad, and the ugly, is for us to see them for what they are, a gift. And as tough as it is for us to see these people as gifts, they are gifts. They are gifts because they show us what we don't want in our lives. They are gifts because they show us what we do want in our lives. They are gifts because we are able to acknowledge what we strive to become even better than. See, many times we don't know what our, our male counterparts are doing for us. But what they are doing for us is they're helping us so that we can understand exactly what we are to do. And that is to love unconditionally. When Jesus came to this world, he came to this world and he did not know, the only father that he knew was Joseph. Okay? But as he matured And as he went to the Jewish temple and he continued to learn, what ended up happening was that he found out who his real father was. Okay? And so his real father ended up being God himself. Who's our real father? Who's our real mother if it's not God himself? And so our invitation today is to be thankful for the human that actually, stepped in and is there for us. Many of times, we end up having father figures throughout our lives. Okay, throughout our lives, we have father figures. And that is a gift in itself. So let me go ahead and continue here. It says, love asks us to trust in love's presence and wisdom itself. Not blind optimism. Faith is confidence in love as the enduring foundation of all life, even when circumstances seem uncertain. When life challenges our expectation, love invites us to deepen our trust. Faith anchors our hearts in something larger than fear or doubt, reminding us love is the current beneath every changing wave of experience, a sacred pulse that unites us with the divine. In many spiritual traditions, trust in the divine involves surrendering the need for control. How many of us love to be in control? All of us do. And those of us that say, oh no, I'm fine. Liars. Being in control is something that all of us as human beings love to do. And so we have to learn how to be like babes, how to be like children. Because children, what do? They follow us blindly. Oh yes, here we go. Okay. And so they trust implicitly. And so what we are to do, what we are to understand is that if we are to grow spiritually, we are to learn how to listen to the flow of life, listen to intuition, listen to Source speaking to you whenever he is speaking and whenever he is sending us the answers that we're needing. But you have to go beyond the flesh. You have to go beyond the things that are concrete. We're asking you and needing for you to understand that all of us are father figures to so many. All of us. Every single one of us. Because we all are a part of the divine. And when we are a part of the divine, we also understand that we have both masculine and feminine spirit in us, through us, as us. So today, as we celebrate, the masculine, our father figures, our fathers who actually, participated in our conception, us coming into this world. Regardless if they were the best or not the best, they were the fathers that we needed, not the fathers that we wanted. If we would have gotten the fathers that we wanted, then what would have happened is that we probably would have been spoiled rotten, okay? Because what we want is we want the easy way. We want something that's going to be easy peasy, and everything is now easy peasy. But the challenges that we have faced, the lessons that we have learned, have helped us to expand in consciousness and in awareness. So our fathers, regardless if they were perfect or not, they did their very best with what they had. Please remember that. Okay? And so in here it says, today, bring your awareness to the moments of uncertainty or hesitation. Notice how fear can pull your attention outwards towards worry. Instead of resisting that feeling, gently invite faith to fill it. You have faith that you are on the right path. You have faith that your father, the man who you call father, regardless if he's in your life or not in your life, It is exactly what needs to be happening right here, right now. My father, Ben Ornelas, the man who raised me and who I know is my father. And you cannot tell me that he's not my dad because I look just like him. My mom used to say, "Mija, te pareces todo a tu padre," which in English means, daughter, you look identical to your father. And I'm not going to tell you the rest that she would tell me because it's not appropriate anyway. And so she would tell me, you're just like your father. And so my father, he only had a 7th grade education. But at the age of 50, he got his GED. Before he was 50, he had already been a general contractor, a justice of the peace. He had already been farming as well as ranching. And he was also a professional singer. Okay? So my father, as well as my mother, but my father, because we're talking about Father's Day, he was a jack of all trades and a master of every single one of them. And so he went beyond in so many different ways. And I celebrate him because in spite of the limitations of not being able to finish, quote unquote, right? And doing, going to school and staying in school. In spite of that, he still did. He was a president of the Chamber of Commerce. He did all of these things. He went beyond the limitations that people would have today, in today's society, would be saying, oh, no, he can't do that. Guess what? My father did it, and he did it well, and then he went beyond the limitations that others tried to put upon him. So that's why, for me, my father, regardless, now, my father instilled, especially my mother, oh, no, you're going to get yourself an education. Because knowledge, they knew that knowledge was going to be power. So to this day, I thank God every single day that my father and my mother sacrificed, not just for me, but also for their brothers and sisters, so that they could have an education. So that now their brothers and sisters, now their children have wonderful lives. See, we don't always know or always remember how now the cousins that I have and it's kind of like the second cousins and all these other different people, the sacrifices that certain people did so that they could have what they have. But I remember that my grandfather, both grandfathers sacrificed so that then therefore I could have the life that I have today. And my great-great-grandfathers, they sacrificed so that I could have what I have today. The fathers that we have had in our lives, regardless if they are great-grandfathers, great-uncles, I remember to this day one of my great-uncles who would teach me and taught me about, home remedies that I actually do today. And this is why I want for all of us to remember. It's kind of like, even if your father was not in your life, be thankful. Be thankful. Be thankful. I am thankful for my uncles who have stepped to the plate and have been father figures for me. I am thankful for the different men that were father figures for me. I am thankful for Father Jesus Murugaren, for Father Eddie Bernal, for Louis as well. There are so many different other people that stepped up to the plate and were there for me. That's what a father does. I want for all of us to be thankful for the fathers that have empowered so many people, that through grace have made a difference, have been an example for many of people to say, You know what? I want to be like that man one of these days. What a compliment. What a compliment. Faith and love means we trust love is working in and through every moment, holding us in presence even when the path is unseen. Tawakkul, the Islamic concept of having complete trust. I have a feeling I did not pronounce that right, but okay. Teaches a spiritual peace arises not from knowing the future, but from embracing God's presence here and now. God's presence where? Here and now. Let faith and love shape your perceptions and decisions today. When you speak, let your words reflect trust rather than fear. When you act, choose to have confidence in love's guidance over hesitation. Let faith be the lens through which you see yourself, others, and the world. Let faith be the lens through which you see yourself, others, and the world. When you choose to see life through the eyes of love, the eyes of faith becomes not just a belief, but a living presence in every heartbeat. I have faith in love. Love guides me, sustains me, and supports all that I do. Ladies and gentlemen, even if you're, there's a saying, there's a statement, if we want to get biblical, and it says, your mother and your father may abandon you. But who doesn't abandon you? God. Who do we go back to? Because he or she is our rightful owner. Source. Source is our rightful owner. We are temporarily in this flesh. Temporarily in this flesh. And all of us, I don't care who you are, you will leave it. You will leave it. Even science eventually will not be able to keep us in that body. Because eventually, even that renewed body, whatever scientifically they're doing nowadays, will not be able to continue to capture the soul. It will eventually want to go back to its original shape and form, which is freedom. It's like they want to go home. Many times we just want to rest. I'm not doing this to y'all. Okay, I'm scratching. Sorry. I was called out on that the other day. It's like, Katrina, what are you doing? I'm not Italian, so don't worry. Anyways, ha 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 ha. Love invites us with the divine. Invites us to unite with the divine. The divine is in us, through us, and as us. The number one relationship that we are to have on this earth is with who? With ourselves. Right here. Right here. Our mothers and our fathers give us, okay, they bless us with knowledge and wisdom. And it's up to us to decipher what we want to keep and what we want to let go. In Philippians 4:13, and this is something that my father and my mother taught me, time and time again. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. When we know that the Christ consciousness is in us, through us, and as us, everything is possible. Everything. Let me say that again. When we know that the Christ consciousness is within us, through us, and as us, all of a sudden, everything is possible. Everything. Everything. Michael Beckwith was, I was seeing he's from Agape International. And I was seeing him, and he said that a lady had come to visit, a young girl. She flew in, and she told him, I'm battling this particular cancer, so on and so forth, and something told me to come and see you, so I've come, and I just wanted to come and visit. And so what ended up happening is that, she went to that one service, and He hugged her. Didn't do anything, just hugged her. She left. A few months later, she came back. She came back to tell him, whenever I went to go and see my doctors again, I didn't have that cancer anymore. And so he shared with us that when he hugged her, he was speaking to her soul. And while he was holding her, he spoke to the soul, and he was holding, and he said, "You are healthy. Perfect divine health, manifested, demonstrated, and attracted." He was speaking to the soul that recognized the truth. And that truth set her free. Whenever she returned, and he just looked at her and he says, "I am so thrilled for you." And at that precise moment, I was like, wow, you know what? He's so right. He spoke. You know, when you speak truth, and the key was this. He said her soul was the one that believed. Her soul is the one that believed and was able to make it so. We have to believe, ladies and gentlemen, that we can, that we will, and so it is done. Here at Center for Practical Spirituality, we say, I can, I will, and it is done, because that is our truth. You have to learn to be the divine. Embrace your masculine and your feminine spirit. But today, we're embracing our masculinity, our masculine spirit, which is logical, which is divine order, which is asking questions, which is, seeing and knowing. It's a knowingness. It's not just a feelingness, it's a knowingness. When we are in the masculine spirit, we know. When you are in feminine spirit, it is the feeling. So go and be in the knowingness that you are divine, and that your masculine spirit is going before you and making things right. So, with that being said, I do hope that your Father's Day ends up being wonderful, and all of you have an absolutely phenomenal day, and you eat a whole bunch of barbecue if you happen to be in Texas, which I know you are. And so at this second, I'd like for us to hold our tithes and our offerings in our hands, and for us to say together, divine love in me, as me, and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is, and so it is. I'm ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle. I'm ready for a miracle today. I've got my mind in tune for one. I'm ready to experience one. I'm ready for a miracle today. My mind is open, ready to receive it. My heart is opened all the way. I do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle. I do accept a miracle today. I do receive a miracle. I do receive a miracle. I do receive a miracle today. Very good, very good. Yay! I love you guys. See you next week.